So, the spoilers are out for My Hero Academia manga chapter 372, and let's just say that this is going to be once again a Shoji and Koda focused chapter. So, let's dive into the spoilers and talk about it, but first, right after this. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Manga Man Drew, and I'm here to cover the spoilers for My Hero Academia manga chapter 372 titled Naked. Yeah, I really have no idea why it's considered naked because I am doing this as the spoilers are coming out, so this is going to be something new, but yeah, pretty much the spoilers are coming out. We're getting a large focus on Shoji, as well as potentially more on Koda and his backstory, as well as getting to see a little bit more of the dichotomy between the ideals of both Shoji and Spinner, and we get to see where that's possibly going to be going in this chapter. So let's dive into the spoilers and see what's going on. So from what we see with the spoilers, the chapter begins with Shoji and Koda asking All Might and Aizawa to assign them to the Central Hospital team. They're confused because the students are not supposed to know that, but Shoji says that the giant lady told them that a mutant group is preparing a raid. Shoji says that if he ignores that, he wouldn't be able to call himself a hero. We then see a conversation between Aizawa and Mike, with Aizawa saying that leaking false information was not enough to fool the villains and asking Mike to also go to Central Hospital. Cut back to the present, we see Mike watching Shoji and Koda fight, thinking to himself that they are already much stronger than the three idiots when they were students. We then see a short flashback of Koda with his mom saying that his horns will also grow someday. So, a lot is going to be going on in this chapter. First of all, we're getting a little bit more of a connotation or reasoning for why Koda as well as Shoji are here, and that potentially there is a reference to this being the case that we saw many chapters ago before the actual raid started. But we're also getting more confirmation and more understanding of Present Mike as a character, as well as how these kids are being portrayed in the story currently, and how they are pretty much on the level of pro heroes, even though they only have like sort of kind of a year of hero experience. But that has nothing really to do with being a hero, especially when it comes to what they've been able to do within their first year and finding a whole bunch of villains. So it's going to be cool to see more of this dynamic with Present Mike being here with both Koda as well as Shoji, but there's a lot more that we really need to cover in this chapter, specifically when it comes to Koda's backstory. Because we get more information about Koda's horn and how the horns can make his feelings reach animals that are far away. She says that people were mean to her because of her appearance, but Koda's father always defended her and praised her horns. She hopes that Koda will become an adult who gets angry for the right reasons, and we get it revealed that Koda's father isn't a mutant. So there's a fair amount that we can just glean from this that I could probably go over a little bit more in an actual chapter review proper, but it's cool to see that when it comes to Koda's parentage, that he does derive from a person that has a mutant-based quirk and just a pseudo-regular normal person. And we're probably going to get a little bit more of that in the chapter proper, if not within the next few chapters. But the next line of text spoilers say that Shoji and Koda attack at the same time with Octo Expansion and Hitchcock Buzz, the first being a very strong punch on Spinner and the other a flurry of bird attacking the general. Mike also helps with his voice. Shoji asks Spinner what he wants to protect with his giant body and his scales. He then turns to the mutants on the ground and asks the same thing. What do they want to protect with these amazing powers they have? As he says this, he remembers Aoyama crying. He asks them to stop because this attack will cause all future mutants to be persecuted. He then remembers the little girl he saved as she's crying and saying that if she hadn't drowned, he wouldn't have been attacked by the villagers and his face wouldn't become so scary. So this is even more interesting because we're actually giving a little bit more of a context to Shoji's backstory. We saw it last chapter, there were some aspects of it that were kind of missing, specifically when it comes to the response of the little girl, but it's cool that we're getting a little bit more of that in this chapter as well as getting more confrontation with Spinner, as we see with the next part of the text spoilers, where it states that this is when Spinner starts yelling, saying that hatred will never disappear. If the heroes win this fight, nothing will change. He remembers the days when he lived locked up in his house and asks his companions to make their voice heard and follow him. Spinner then propels himself from the building towards the central hospital. Shoji is held up by Koda's birds and realizes that Spinner has become even stronger, to the point where he can break through the concrete. The mutants hesitate for a moment, but then shouts in agreement. So what is very interesting about this part of the spoilers is that we're getting the seeds of the people coming to realize, hey, we probably shouldn't be doing this. We probably shouldn't be attacking a hospital. Which, you know, fair enough. This is something that you shouldn't do no matter what cause you're fighting for, and that this is potentially going to be leading to something massive later on in the story involving Spinner and potentially what's going to be happening with Tomura Shigaraki. Because with the next line of tech spoilers, the policeman notices that the mutants are more motivated and seem to deem it necessary to use firearms. We hear shots being fired out. Soon, the focus shifts to inside the hospital, with Spinner smashing through the walls of the entrance hall. And with the next tech spoilers that we have Spinner remembering All For One saying that Kurogiri must be in the research tower, and says that when he finds him, he says to play a voice recording of Shigaraki or All For One himself. He explains that Kurogiri is essential for them to win and that Spinner will become Tomura's hero. We then see all the doctors and nurses in the hospital join hands to block a hall. One of the mutants is shocked by the scene and remembers Shoji's words, and thinking of the doctors treating the wounded, drops his weapons to the floor. So this is something that is going to most likely be established or elaborated a little bit more in the chapter proper, about how when it comes to these heroes and when it comes to these villains and when it comes to the mutants, that they're going to come to a mutual understanding and realize the error of their ways, and that showing that both sides are in the right in a way or another, but that what the mutants are doing that are attacking the hospital are not in the right, and potentially setting up for what Spinner is going to be doing with All For One and with, you know, Kurogiri. So let's see where this goes from here with the next line of tech spoilers. But Spinner keeps moving forward. He thinks to himself that he accepted that he would always be a nobody, but if he fulfills the goals, he will become something. He says that the proof is that so many people are following him, but when he turns around, he sees no one. This whole sequence is illustrated with young Spinner running to show that he's lost in thoughts as he reminisces his past and his whole life. That's when Mike arrives in the hallway, says that Shoji's voice has reached the other mutants and that he won't accomplish his goal. The chapter ends with the two arriving at the research tower, with Spinner shouting Kurogiri and Mike shouting Shirokumo. End of chapter. So, from what we get with the last part of the spoilers, yeah, I think the theory that I came up with may be coming true. So one of two things is potentially going to happen. Either Kurogiri is going to respond to Kurogiri or respond to Shirokumo, which means someone's going to be brought to Central Hospital and potentially someone is going to die. And from what we're getting with this entire part of the spoilers, we're going to be having a lot more focus on Spinner, and that most likely the naked part of this chapter title comes from Spinner, and how there's no one around him, and that he's in a sense naked when it comes to people following him in his own beliefs and his own ideals, which is going to be cool to do a little bit more proper when it comes to the review. But this also sets up potentially what we're going to be getting within the next few chapters, and it's possibly something that I predicted in a past video involving the potential for Aizawa to be shifted over to Central Hospital. But yeah, that's pretty much all the spoilers that we have for this chapter of My Hero Academia. So let me ask you, what do you think of this chapter? And are you excited to focus more on Spinner as well as Kurogiri as well as Shoji and Koda in this chapter? Or are you ready to move on to something else? Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, leave a like on the video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this. Do all that cool jazz, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in my next video. Goodbye!